Cześć, jestem Paulina Lipiec, a to jest kanał Polski Daily. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to talk about hours, and it's going to be not so complicated. Let's see. We need to start with something very basic, like ordinal numbers. They are a little bit different than the numbers that you learn in the beginning of your adventure with Polish. And when we talk about time, and especially about hours, they will be feminine. It means all of them will end with a, unless we have to put some preposition in the beginning. But I'll continue about this a little bit later. So I will read all of them and you just repeat after me. If this is something very easy for you, just fast forward a few minutes. Pierwsza. Druga. Trzecia. Czwarta. Piąta. Szósta. Siódma. Ósma. Dziewiąta. Dziesiąta. These two are very commonly mistaken, so make sure you remember that 9 has W, Polish W, English W in it, and 10 has ś. Dziewiąta, dziesiąta. Jedenasta. Dwunasta. Trzynasta. Czternasta. Piętnasta. Szesnasta. Siedemnasta. Osiemnasta. Dziewiętnasta. Dwudziesta. Dwudziesta pierwsza. Dwudziesta druga. Dwudziesta trzecia. Dwudziesta czwarta. If you were just reading with me, it means that you were shadowing, and congratulations, because this is one of the best methods to practice your pronunciation. And maybe you noticed that I read all 24 hours, because in Polish, we can use both ways. We can use 12-hour clock, it's more colloquial, or we can use 24-hour clocks when we want to be a little bit more formal. One reminder, we use feminine numbers. I already said it, but it's very important for you to remember about it. As I said before, we use that 24-hour clock or 12-hour clock, depends. But when you use 12-hour clock, which is perfectly fine, try to add something like po południu, in the afternoon, after these hours, wieczorem, in the evening, let's say after 6. I would say that's the most common way. And you can add w nocy, at night, after the night hours. Okay? Po południu, in the afternoon, wieczorem, in the evening, w nocy, at night. When you use 2, for example, godzina druga, 2, you can also say druga w nocy, 2 at night. When we ask about time, we don't use the word czas, time, but we use godzina, hour. So we ask, która godzina, which hour, or która jest godzina, which is the hour. If the hour is round, there's no minutes, it's super easy. Then you just say, jest pierwsza, jest druga, jest trzecia, jest czwarta, and so on, 24 hours. But when we have some minutes, it changes. A very important piece of information here. When we talk about hours, we use the ordinal numbers, which we just learned. Pierwsza, druga, trzecia, czwarta. But when we talk about minutes, we use the cardinal numbers, so the normal numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. So here we go. We have a question, a lady is asking a question, która jest godzina? And the answer is, jest 13:15. So it's 13:15. That would be the literal translation. Or we can also say in 12-hour clock, 1:15. 5:20. We can either say 17:20 or 5:20. That's also fine. 8:30. 20:30 or 8:30. That's the very common, very easy way to express hours, and you can just use it all the time. You can completely skip the abbreviation or the cool ways of talking about hours. But when you want to understand a Polish person or you want to speak more naturally, it would be nice to learn things like 5 to 10 or 10 after 5, 10:30, and so on, right? So now we're going to learn that. When it's close to the round hour, so you say this English expressions 5 to, we also have a way to express it in Polish. We use the preposition za, okay? And then we use the normal format of the hour. Za, minutes, and the hour. So 2:40 would be za 23. 20 to 3. And notice the word order. You cannot say 20 za 3. Or another mistake that my students sometimes make is they say 20 do 3. And it's not correct. You have to say za, then minutes 20, and then hour 3. Za 23. 8:45. Za 15:09. 1:50. Za 10:14. 10 to 2. Za 10:14, or literally 10 to 14. 5:55. Za 5:18. 5 to 6, tak? And when we have less than 30 minutes after the round hour, we would use this construction. So we have minutes, cardinal numbers, preposition po, and hour in ordinal number. But now we have to change the ending. We don't use the ending a anymore. We use the ending a. Why is that? This is because po takes locative case, and we have to work accordingly. So 2:05. 5:02. Here we have more similar word order to English than the first construction, right? 8:10. 10:08. 1:15. 15:13. You could also use the word kwadrans, meaning quarter, but it's not that common. It is common in radio or on TV, but not necessarily in a common conversation. 5:25. 25:17. 25:17. A. Remember about A. So let's revise it a little bit. When you use za, then you use minutes, and the hour gets the ending a. When you use po, then you have to put minutes first, then po, then the hour with the ending a. Got it? Super. Idziemy dalej. Let's move on. Now, it's very common to use halves, right? Also in English or other languages. But Polish gets it a little bit complicated because we don't say 1/2 but we say 1/2, and then the following hour, not the hour that we are already in. So we would say 1:30 do, that's 1/2, then the hour with the ending a. So not a, like we learned in the beginning, but again, we have different ending. And this ending is because do takes dopełniacz, genitive. So 1:30 will be wpół do drugiej, half to 2. Be very careful about it, because I know it's your natural instinct to say 1:30 and you think wpół do pierwszej, because you're seeing this number 1. But that's not Polish. Polish will be you're thinking about the hour that's coming. Wpół do drugiej, 2:30. Wpół do trzeciej. Repeat after me. 3:30. Wpół do czwartej. 4:30. Wpół do piątej. 5:30. Wpół do szóstej. 6:30. Wpół do siódmej. 7:30. Wpół do ósmej. 8:30. Wpół do dziewiątej. 9:30. Wpół do dziesiątej. 10:30. Wpół do jedenastej. 11:30. Wpół do dwunastej. And I added this little note here that when we use 12-hour clock, we would use wpół do. It sounds natural. But when someone uses 24-hour clock, which I already told you that is more formal, somehow it doesn't sound, okay? Like just for me, it's a little bit weird when I hear someone saying wpół do 23. I understand it, but would I say it? Probably not. Okay, but when we talk about time, when we talk about hours, we don't always ask what time is now, what time is it now, what time is it now, która godzina, która godzina. We use it to talk about events, about specific events. So we would ask, what time do we meet? And it ruins everything in Polish because we have o której godzinie. So we have this extra preposition o, which takes locative, miejscownik, and we have to change the endings accordingly. So we have o której godzinie się spotykamy. What time do we meet? O, and then we put the hour with the ending a. Again, this a is because of miejscownik, locative. So we would say, spotykamy się, we meet, o 6:00, o 18:00, o 7:00, o 19:00, o 8:00, o 20:00, o 9:00, o 21:00, o 10:00, o 22:00, o 11:00, o 23:00, o 12:00, o 24:00. I think you can't sleep if you meet someone o 24:00, but it's up to you. I'm too old for this kind of stuff. If you want to meet someone after certain hours, so let's meet after 5, then you use the same construction, but instead of o, you use po. So spotykamy się po 5:00. We are meeting after 5. Or spotykamy się po 8:00. We're meeting after 8. Same construction, different preposition. And now it's time for your first exercise. I want you to read these hours. I will give you some time. Probably not, but you can just pause the video and then let's check out if you can say it, or maybe you can write it down, and I will read it for you in a second. Now, która godzina? What time is it? Jest 8. Jest 13. Albo jest 1. Jest 10:03. Albo jest 3 po 10. Albo są 3 po 10. I've heard people saying both. Jest 15:15. Jest 15 po 15. Albo Jest 3:15. Jest 15 po trzeciej. Jest 7:45. Jest za 15 8. Jest 16:55. Jest 4:55. Jest za 5 piąta. Jest 3:30. Jest wpół do czwartej. Jest 17:30. Jest 5:30. Jest wpół do szóstej. Did you get it right? If not, you can always go back, watch again the explanation, or go to my website, download the presentation, print it out, and analyze it on your own. Here we go with the exercise number 2. Ćwiczenie 2. O której godzinie? Remember, now we're using the construction with o and with the ending a. The minutes stay the same. The minutes don't change. So, wstaję o. A moment for you. Pause the video. And I'm reading. Czytam. Wstaję o 7:30. Wstaję o 7:45. Zaczynam pracę o 8:10. Zaczynam pracę 10 po 8. You see, I didn't need to use o when I used po. Robię sobie przerwę o 12:20. Robię sobie przerwę 20 po 12. Kończę pracę o 16:40. Kończę pracę za 20, 17 albo za 25. Robię zakupy o 17:30. Robię zakupy o 5:30. Robię zakupy wpół do 6. Again, I'll remind you when I use the preposition, I don't need this o. When I use a different preposition, I don't need this o. Jem kolację o 19:00. Jem kolację o 7:00. Oglądam wiadomości o 20:10. Oglądam wiadomości 10 po 20:00. Idę spać o 24:00. Idę spać o północy. If you got this o północy, then you have a bonus point. And the last thing that I want to explain you today is using 2 extra prepositions, which also are used very common when we talk about time. The first one is między, meaning between, because sometimes we want to meet someone or do something between, like in a time frame. And przed, meaning before. If you remember well, a few minutes ago, I told you when you use po after, you have to use the ending a, because po takes locative, miejscownik, and we use the ending a. It's different with między and przed, because both of them are prepositions requiring instrumental case, narzędnik. That's why we have this new ending on. Okay, so between 10 and 11, we have między 10 a 11. It's important to say a. Między 14 a 16. Między 20 a 21. Przed. Przed 7. Przed 10. Przed 18. Again, do you remember what is między? Between. And przed? Before. And po? After. And the last exercise for today is ćwiczenie 3. Po, między, przed. Again, you can pause it, you can write it down, or you can just read it for yourself and then come back and listen to me reading it. Będę na rynku między 13 a 14:30. I'll be at the market between 1 and 2:30. Będę na rynku między 13 a 14:30. Or będę na rynku między 1 a wpół do 3. Mam lekcję między 18:30 a 20. Mam lekcję między wpół do 7 a 8. Mam lekcję między wpół do 7 a 8. Nie mogę rozmawiać przed 6 rano. Nie mogę rozmawiać przed 6 rano. Proszę nie dzwonić po 23. Please don't call me after 11 p.m. Proszę nie dzwonić po 11. Przed 17 na pewno nie będzie mnie w domu. Przed 17 na pewno nie będzie mnie w domu. For sure I won't be home before 5 p.m. Po 15 możemy pójść na piwo. Po 15 możemy pójść na piwo. Or po 3 po południu możemy pójść na piwo. Po 3 możemy pójść na... wino. I forgot that I put vino here. I wanted to be a little bit more classy. Zwykle biegam wieczorem. Zwykle biegam przed 9:30 rano lub po 9:30 wieczorem. Zwykle biegam przed 9:30 rano lub po 9:30 wieczorem. Or zwykle biegam przed wpół do 10 rano lub po wpół do 10 wieczorem. Po 18 niczego nie jem. I don't eat anything after 6 p.m. Po 18 niczego nie jem. Po 6 wieczorem niczego nie jem. Po 6 niczego nie jem. If you liked my lesson, please subscribe, comment, and visit my website where you can find more exercises, and you can join our Zoom classes, listen to the podcast, download transcripts. There's I constantly create more and more resources for you to make your journey with Polish a little bit easier, a little bit more fun, and maybe relaxed. I just wanted to add at the end that with time, we are pretty flexible. You don't have to worry that much. And just practice a lot, maybe download some buses timetable or something like this, or create your own calendar and just read it and practice, create sentences. You just have to speak a lot and you're going to be fine. I'm sure of that. Dziękuję bardzo i do zobaczenia.